Hello, my name is Robert Berry, and welcome to the DIS Nightly News. Today is 9th September. We begin our program with financial news. Across Europe, the banking crisis continues to worsen. This week, Ireland divided one of its major banks into several government-backed banks. Increasingly defaulting loans by the Anglo-Irish Bank Corporation will now be held and secured by the Irish government. This has added to the fears that Greece may not be the only EU country needing a bailout. Evidence now shows that the European Central Bank may have inadvertently encouraged European banking institutions to increase their bond holdings in an attempt to stabilize the economy. This additional encouragement raised the EU's economic exposure by $2.6 trillion. The report also stated that Spain and Portugal, with their rising unemployment rates, may also be in need of serious and urgent economic reform. This information was released by the Bank for International Settlements, a Swedish clearinghouse for world banks. To make matters worse, the U.S. firm Goldman Sachs has been fined by Britain for $27 million for failing to properly disclose information to the Securities and Exchange Commission's recent investigation in the subprime mortgage crisis. This is nothing, though, compared to the $550 million paid out by Sachs in July over allegations of fraud tied to their mortgage securities. And now we go to Anna for the weather report.
Thanks, Robert. It looks like our week of sun has come to an end. Today, clouds arrive in the early morning, with temperatures remaining around 18 degrees Celsius and dropping to 13 degrees later tonight. Cooler temperatures on Friday with a chance of rain in the afternoon. Daytime temperatures around 16 degrees, dropping to 9 at night, with light winds beginning in the evening. Look forward to a slightly better Saturday. Some sun with warmer temperatures around 20 degrees, with winds continuing through the day. Still warm on Sunday, with showers returning in the afternoon. More sun on the way for Monday, temperatures about 19 degrees and windy. Tuesday, expect more showers and temperatures around 16 degrees. In the U.S., the remnants of Tropical Storm Hermine subsided early this morning in northwest Oklahoma. Rain, wind continued across the west through the afternoon. So far, the biggest problem has been rain in Missouri, Arkansas, and some locations have already gotten 8 inches today, with the heaviest being in Texas and Oklahoma. Tropical storm and depression Hermine has led to severe flooding in certain parts of Texas on its path between San Antonio and Dallas-Fort Worth. Hermine left more than a foot of water in its wake. In addition to tomorrow's tornadoes have sprung up through Texas, including an especially damaging one in Dallas. Back to you, Robert.
Thanks, Anna. Copenhagen has experienced a surge in immigrants, but these immigrants will only be staying until mid-December. The Copenhagen Post reports that a record 2,100 non-EU students have been admitted to universities across the city. That's a 43% increase from last year. 794 Americans make up the biggest portion of foreign students. But the Chinese, Canadian, and Australian students make up a sizable chunk as well. The Immigration Service doesn't know why so many Americans are coming to Copenhagen, but one DI student is being quoted by saying, "Most of the city is gorgeous, rain or barely shine." If those students are anything like me, then they can work up a thirst studying. Copenhagen is also hosting its own Oktoberfest this weekend on Amager Strand. Tents will be open from 16 to 23 on Thursday and Friday, and 11 to 23 on Saturday. Admission is free, but event goers can reserve seats in the tent for 299 Danish kroner. Food and drinks can be purchased, and promoters promise a better selection than last year's menu. The menu features traditional Danish sausages, deli selections, and Bavarian food. On Thursday, beer will be served by Heidi Girls dressed in Lederhosen, and traditional trailer music band Alfetsa will highlight the festivities along with Lay DJ. The location is close to the center of the city and is one simple metro ride away. The event is being sponsored by Gournay Brewery, Extra Blood and FDM. Now we're going to Kane, who spent this afternoon walking the streets of Owens to find out what Danes think of the Americans.
Hi, this is Kane DeVoskin. I'm reporting from outside the McDonald's in a town I can't pronounce in Denmark. We're going to go in and get some information on what Danes think of American and American culture. So follow me. Nope. Excuse me, can I ask you a question? If you had to describe Americans in 5 words, what would those words be? Or 1 word. Any words.
Awesome.
Okay, what else? What do Danish people think of Americans? What is our stereotype?
Stupid.
I'm not ser op en tv, eller?
No, it's
Det ved jeg ikke. I don't know. One word? Like a mirror?
a mirror. Why?
I don't know, they maybe a little selfish.
Americans. Fat.
Fat. And is it because we don't?
Well, that depends on who Americans.
Just Americans in general. If you had to choose one word to describe Americans, what would it be?
Well, unknowing of the world's problems.
What do Greenlandese think of Americans?
They don't think.
A place to go out tonight.
Go to LA bar.
There's one in here? Because there's one in Copenhagen. What?
The Happy Viking or the Danish Viking.
Where is that?
That's just around the corner.
Is that where you? And if American girls were looking to go out in a place in this town on a Thursday night like tonight, where would be the place to go?
I can.
You know I can.
No. I can. It's just.
I don't know what that is.
I can. It's just down.
Down the street.
What kind of place is it?
If you like getting beat up, raped, stabbed, that's the place to go.
And
We love it.
Great report, Kane. Now let's go over to the DIS Entertainment Review with Rachel Kassenbrock.
Hello, I'm Rachel, and welcome to Cultural News. The fall season is upon us, and with it, as always, comes quality entertainment. Are you interested in experiencing a different perspective on your favorite rock and roll influences? Thursday, today, September 9th, is the opening day of the new avant-garde musical Come Together, which features favorites from John Lennon, Paul McCartney, and George Harrison. On a different note, Bob Dylan's first large-scale art exhibit, the Brazil series, opened last Saturday in Denmark's National Museum. With us today is our entertainment reviewer, Anne, and she is here to give us a review of both. Anne, tell us about the musical. What did you think of Come Together?
Come Together is absolutely a fantastic musical. If you want a feast for the eyes, this is definitely the musical for you. It has great theatrics, fantastic costumes, and it also includes acrobatics. Not to mention, it's great for any Beatles fan because it contains tons of Beatles music from Paul McCartney, John Lennon, and George Harrison.
Wow, that sounds awesome. So, Anne, what do you think a hardcore Beatles fan would think of this musical with all the new twists and costumes?
Oh, I think they're going to love it because it's definitely a new version of hearing and seeing the Beatles music. So they have girls singing it, and also it's with more theatrics, and it's definitely a fantastic musical if you're a Beatles fan.
Great, that sounds like a wonderful experience. So, Anne, tell us about the internationally recognized museum exhibit you recently attended. What did you think of Bob Dylan's artwork?
Bob Dylan, I love seeing his artwork. It's definitely different from his music. He decided to focus on Brazil, which is because he had many influences there. And there's about 40 paintings he did, and about 8 drawings of just the lifestyle in Brazil and some of the violence that happens there.
That sounds really interesting. So, do you think you could tell us a little bit more about why he chose Brazil as his subject?
He said that he's been there many times and that he's found it as a focus for a lot of his music, and he just wanted to portray it in his paintings.
Sounds like a great experience. So anyway, critics actually reviewed his paintings rather harshly. They called him an amateur painter, and they mentioned that his paintings had no place in the National Museum. So how do you feel about that?
Well, seeing that this is his first art exhibit, I think I'm not an art critic, but being a civilian going to the museum, I absolutely loved it. I thought they were very good. They're very well done. They're very colorful. I think any Danish civilian or any tourist coming to the Danish National Museum would absolutely love it, and it's great to see another side of Bob Dylan. And it's great to see one of his other artworks.
Thanks a lot, Anne. Those both sound like excellent experiences. Thanks for the input, and thanks for coming.
Thanks, girls. And from one culture to another, we go to sports. FC Copenhagen qualified for the Champions League for only the second time in club history on August 25th. FCK beat the Norwegian club Rosenborg 1-0 in front of 31,000 anxious fans. Parken Stadium was given a new look, sporting official Champions League advertisements on the side of the field. Solvi Ottesen put the team up in the first half by sending a header past the keeper. There was no scoring in the second half despite valiant efforts from both sides. Group drawings left FCK in Group D, facing Russian champions Rubin Kazan, Panathinaikos of Greece, and most intimidating, Lionel Messi and FC Barcelona. Copenhagen plays Rubin Kazan on September 14th. In other football news, earlier this week, Denmark defeated Iceland in a qualifying match for the Euro 2012 championship. The winning goal scored by Thomas Kalenberg came during injury time, seconds before the match expired. Recently, Denmark has taken a hit by losing some veteran players after a poor showing by the Danish national football team in this year's World Cup. Denmark also is playing without two key players, Nicholas Bentner and goalie Thomas Sorensen, due to injuries. Now to tennis. Caroline Wozniacki, the top-seeded women's player in the 2010 U.S. Open, has pushed through to the semifinals with a win over Dominika Sibulova on Wednesday. Wozniacki won in two straight sets, 6-2 and 7-5, in very windy conditions, extending her winning streak to 13 matches. Next, the Dane will face 7th seed Vera Zvonareva from Russia. That's all I have in sports. Now back to Robert.
Thanks, Sean. That concludes our program for the evening, and as always, stay classy, Copenhagen.